The recent attacks in Brampton and Surrey are horrifying for me as a Canadian.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Ouch! Ouch! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
This is the first broad daylight attack on the devotees in this country.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh man!
The response from the police was disgusting. They acted as the arm of the Khalistanis. They attacked the Hindus.
Oh my god, they are entering in the temple. Oh my god, they're entering the temple. They are so violent.
They did not push the Khalistanis off. They were attacking the Hindus in their own mandir. People from Peel Police were going crazy, were throwing punches at Hindus. That's a terrible precedent, and this has been set for the last couple of years. The crazier and the more violent you are, the more you're allowed to get away with. Chandra Arya and Kevin Vong are the only two elected officials in this country out of the hundreds that were able to correctly determine who was the victim and who was the perpetrator in this attack. This man has never walked the walk. So until you see him walk the walk, preferably, until you see him take action, there is no reason to believe Justin Trudeau will take any action.
My first and foremost question, of course, the development which took place recently, the attack on Hindu temple by Khalistanis. Your take in this regard, and how do you look at these recent attacks which has taken place?
The recent attacks in Brampton and Surrey are horrifying for me as a Canadian. It is a massive uptick. It's a huge escalation of violence. It's crossed new lines. We've seen attacks on temples, Hindu temples before. We've seen attacks on synagogues before in Canada. Synagogues have been shot at midnight. We've seen churches being burned down and attacked. This is the first broad daylight attack on the devotees in this country. The response from the police was disgusting. They acted as the arm of the Khalistanis. They attacked the Hindus. They did not push the Khalistanis off. They were attacking the Hindus in their own mandir. People from Peel Police were going crazy, were throwing punches at Hindus. And it's Kristallnacht for Hindus in Canada. This was utterly preventable. We saw this coming. Panoon and Sikhs for Justice were screaming that they were going to do this. They were advocating for violence against Hindus on Diwali, for celebrating Diwali. To be fair to Panoon, he claimed he wasn't being violent. He said, ask Hindus nicely to stop being Hindus, stop celebrating Diwali, and then if they refuse and continue to exist, then you attack them. This is the type of stuff. And this man is allowed to come on Canadian television, the state broadcast on CBC, where he advocated for that every Indian Canadian needs to be examined for dual loyalties and needs to make a statement of loyalty to Canada against the Indian government, must say they're anti-Modi or else be considered a double agent. And this man was allowed to say this on the CBC while the supposedly bleeding heart liberal who is interviewing him is nodding along and smiling as he's talking about going through taking aside 1 to 2 million Canadians and examining them for their political views on Narendra Modi to see if they're really Canadians. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And then these people show up outside the mandirs, and the police can't push them off the mandir, can't say, oh, this is a temple. Get to the other side of the road now, you guys move. But they're tough enough to start punching Hindus because they know the Hindus won't punch back. But they know that if they start attacking the Khalistanis, well, then they're going to get whacked with some sticks, and that's a bit scary. So we see this all the time in Canada, where the police decide that they're going to enforce the law on the population that's more likely to listen to the law, to listen to reason. And if the more and it sets a terrible precedent. And this has been set for the last couple of years. The crazier and the more violent you are, the more you're allowed to get away with. And the more
Mm.
peaceful you are, the more law-abiding you are, the more you adhere to Canadian values, the more likely you are to get beaten up by lunatics. And then the even greater part is the more peaceful you are when the lunatics attack you, the more likely the police are to attack you. So this is the message being sent. There is no part of the Canadian government that our establishment has taken their side in any of this. They're making statements today. No one can name Khalistan. No one can name who the actual perpetrators are. People are being beat with Khalistani flags. The flags say Khalistan, and they were beaten on video. And the mayor of Brampton can't say Khalistan. Patrick Brown fails. The premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, can't say Khalistan. He fails. The prime minister of the country, Justin Trudeau, cannot say Khalistan. He fails. The leader of the NDP, well, he's a Khalistani, so let's not even go over here. And the leader of the opposition can't say Khalistan, so he fails. Only Chandra Arya and one independent MP, Kevin Vong. Chandra Arya and Kevin Vong are the only two elected officials in this country out of the hundreds that were able to correctly determine who was the victim and who was the perpetrator in this attack that was caught on video. And it's disgusting as a Canadian. It's disgusting. Canada's a place where you should be able to worship freely. And it's every level of the establishment. The police, the Peel police couldn't name the victims of the perpetrator. No one, no one has their back. And it's terrifying because it's going to get worse because the message being sent to the extremists is it's open season on Hindus. Absolute open season. Attack as many Hindus as you want and we'll arrest. For every Hindu you attack, we'll arrest one Hindu for you. That's the message being sent to the extremists, and they hear it loud and clear. So expect Panoon to celebrate, make another video, I don't know, threaten to blow up some more airplanes, think of a new attack line, and then unleash his thugs on someone else. It's horrible.
Mm. Because the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also, although he did condemn the attack on Hindu devotees at the temple in Brampton, saying that the act of violence are unacceptable in the country. But this is just the statement. There is no action which has taken place. He comes up and he condemned it. That's it. Your take on this statement which he has made.
We've seen words from Justin Trudeau. We have seen Justin Trudeau talk the talk half the time. Sometimes he talks against the talk and he actually openly endorses the terrorists, but sometimes he talks the talk. And this is a time where he has mostly talked the talk. This man has never walked the walk. So until you see him walk the walk, preferably, until you see him take action, there is no reason to believe Justin Trudeau will take any action. He will release some statements. Oh, hate has no place here. He'll find some incredibly far left, diehard liberal Hindu to stand next to and take a photo in 3 days from now and declare, diversity is our strength. And this is all over and behind us. And just like he's been doing with the Jewish community as they consistently get attacked, if it's an egregious enough attack, he'll make a statement. If it's really, really, really bad act of anti-Semitism, he'll say it's an act of anti-Semitism. Usually, if a Jew gets attacked in Canada, he says anti-Semitism and Islamophobia are bad. If it's a horrendous attack, then for that day, it's just anti-Semitism is bad. Nothing's ever been done. So it's par for the course. There is no prospect of the Prime Minister of Canada jumping in to do the right thing. I wish he does. I hope there's a clip of me saying all these mean things about him on the internet and it's going viral and I just look like the biggest idiot ever because the law and order has been restored in Canada by like November 5th and I just look like an absolute moron. I would love that, but betting markets are not predicting it.
We have seen the series of attacks on Hindu temples, on Hindus. Who do you think is behind it?
Well, the people who say they're behind it, right? They're there in front of they're all on camera. The Khalistanis, they have their flags, their faces are open. They Seeks for Justice has put out a statement saying they organized that protest. Panoon, it's all his views are on video evidence. Just like most things. Who are the crazy lunatics? Well, it's the people running around threatening to kill or harm or do everything. We have it on video. We saw who started the fight. We saw them whacking people's sticks. Their faces are clear. We know what organizations they belong to. It's the same, for the most part, same few dozen who go around and cause all the chaos at most events. We know, I'm sure we all know who we are. If the Canadian government, if the RCMP, if Peel Region Police, if CSIS, if any of our institutions wanted to do something about this, they could do something about this at any moment in time. They choose not to.
Because since you observed that the RCMP started attacking Hindu worshippers and they did not do anything regarding the Khalistani who were attacking these temples, why action? There's no action which has taken place against the Khalistanis and only against the Hindu community.
Well, first it was actually I'm going to correct myself because in Peel it was I got a Peel video from a contact in Surrey who got it from a different contact in Surrey who got it from one in Peel who said it was the RCMP who said the thing, but it's actually the Peel Region Police in the video there.
Mhm.
So okay, if you look at the question, why do the police look at the attacks and do nothing? Well, this is actually the theory on police work in Canada of like one the new woke policing to put it bluntly. And we do that in Canada because we're way advanced over the States. But there's two tenets to it. There's depolicing and de-escalation. Okay. So depolicing is the thought that by adding more police to a situation, you're making it less safe. And this comes from your standard Jim Crow's type era, right? This is very American imported, where we think, oh, the reason why racial minorities commit crimes racism causes crime. Therefore, less enforcement of police will reduce the racism and thus reduce the crime. That's not true, but we still do it anyway. The other tenet is de-escalation. So when you see crimes being committed, police are trained in their form of like de-escalating the conflict and trying to minimize. So when you see Khalistanis threatening or roaming jihadis on the streets and they're threatening everyone, and there's one counter protester who comes up and says the right thing, right? The famous, you see this this is the UK, the Iraqi government, the Hamas is a terrorist organization. They attack him even though it's the law and not the people supporting Hamas. They're breaking it. But the police are trained that if they think that someone might make a disturbance as they see it, they're supposed to clamp down on that. And they're quite trained that, okay, what you don't realize is this gives the power to the most radicals. So Antifa, Khalistanis, Islamists, they know if they're radical and violent. So if they see a counter protester and they start to threaten to kill him, they know the police will then arrest the counter protester to claim it's diffusing the situation and de-escalation. So everything we're doing is actually incentivizing the most violent and the most radical people in our country to be more violent and more radical. But these programs claim to be fighting racism, which is our number one priority. So, of course, we have to fight racism. Now, by fighting racism, we mean putting our most vulnerable ethnic minorities at risk of extreme violence. But but the upper middle class white people feel a lot better about calling things de-escalation and de-policing, and that's racial justice. So if they can feel like they're getting racial justice, it doesn't matter how many ethnic minorities need to die to get racial justice. As long as they feel like they're doing something, that is the most important thing.
Right. So this brings me to the last question. We have seen the relationship between India and Canada hit rock bottom, and in recent comment from Indian government, it was in response to Canada's allegation that the Union Home Minister authorized the attacks on Sikhs in Canada, and Indian government said that they have strongly protested the absurd and baseless references made by the minister before the parliamentary panel. They have also summoned the High Commissioner's representative as well. How do you look at the development which has taken place?
I mean, Canada and India relationships are spiraling into the abyss. It's not good. I mean, I was very concerned September of 2023 when we saw it going down. It has not gotten better over then. Um, People in India are claiming that they're at rock bottom. I don't know if this is optimistic, but I will say you do not know Justin Trudeau. There never is a rock bottom. You still have another year left of Trudeau to go. So brace yourselves. It's going to get worse, most likely. Um, yeah, I mean, hopefully a new government can come in and pull this out of a tailspin. I think a lot depends on the US election. If Trump gets in, there could be a massive shift in the conservative movement in the West because Trump seems to be the only one who even remotely understands India from our perspective. And the Canadian conservatives are very good. They're very good at monkey see, monkey do. They're not very creative. They're not trailblazers in any way. They're a very scared party. So if Trump sort of breaks new ground within the year before they get in and they see an actual framework of how to deal with India and a conservative dealing with India's issues, they can copy that. They're very good at copying things, and they understand what America is. They understand how to copy that. If Kamala Harris gets in, then okay, we're back in Trudeau land. And it might be sort of irreparable damage done, and we'll even see how after another year of Democrat insane policies, and driving our allies into the hands of our enemies, and empowering those enemies. I'm not sure where we'll even stand between India and the West, if that happens. So a lot of the questions of like foreign policy and how will relationships be in the future, a lot of that depends on Tuesday and the American election and who's the leader of the free world at the time. So um, the answer there is completely different on Tuesday. So in my view, no real point of trying to read the tea leaves until the election's solved.